Thank you so much for watching In the Man Cave. Let's lock it down. This will be fun. It's pen and no pen at one pace.
It's called Notes and No Notes.
I've got 6 words on my piece of
The
paper.
wonderful Hollie Hughes, the equally lovely Sam Crosby, left and right. You get him here. So, charity point well made. Sam, of course, does a lot of work with Vinnies. He'd no doubt agree. And Hollie, we've talked about it before. So I recognise what we've said to this point in the show. But let's talk about the important issue, which is what percent of 1% of global emissions we must set the target at for 6 years from now. Now, when I first saw on Saturday Libs planning to pull out a Paris Agreement, the political nerd in me goes, really? Like, what seat are they going to win in the... this is bad? And then I actually read the interview, and they didn't say it. It had just been sort of whipped up and turned...
How outrageous.
Yeah, let's change the subject, right? But we've now got to the place where Peter Dutton says, well, surprise, surprise, the policy we took to the last election, which is we don't agree with 43%, will be our position after the next election. Yet the Prime Minister, desperate to change the subject from many months of failure, is trying to pretend that the climate nasties are back inside the Liberal Party. Isn't the reality that Australia's on this discussion, right, which the lefties call climate wars, which wankers, but it's always 50-50, right? If whatever one you choose, eventually the public turns around and says you should have chosen the other path, right? More action equals higher cost. Lower cost equals less action. Well, surprise, surprise, in cost of living, I know which one they're going to pick.
Absolutely.
Lower cost.
Absolutely. And the reality is, and this is where Peter Dutton's leadership is so strong in this area, and he's continuing to really show himself as the alternate Prime Minister, because he's being honest with the Australian people. And I know this might seem outrageous to some people, but the reality is we are getting nowhere near the targets, and we are chasing an ideology under Bowen and Albanese. Not only are the renewable projects not on target, and again, these are all going into rural and regional areas. They're not going into the teal seats.
Correct.
In fact, the teal seats, when they had the opportunity to put a battery in Waverley and North Sydney...
Let me guess.
They rejected it.
Oh!
They rejected a battery the size of a storage container, shipping container, but they want rural and regional Australians to wear solar farms over arable farming land, as well as having new transmission lines bulldozed through their communities. But so the transmission lines are way behind schedule, the renewable projects are way behind schedule, and to say no coal, no gas, no nuclear, there's no way we're keeping the lights on. And what, Peter Dutton is saying is we need an honest approach, we need a real discussion, and we are not going to do anything to our economy that removes productivity and any advantage that we have, and to make sure that families can pay their power bill. I mean, that's a novel idea.
Correct. But the issue, of course, Sam, is that there are certain people who, as I said, in this religious-like thing, there is a number that must be achieved, and the number should be bigger than any number we've previously had in the past, because if Australia doesn't do our bit, then we're all of that, right? But equally, the pushback surely to what Hollie's just said is, OK, cool, but none of the coal-fired power stations just magically regrow. They've all been blown up, right? We've made a choice. We've gone on a path. The Dutton position is, well, cool, we can pull back and there's another path over here. But either of these paths are going to be very expensive. That said, we've got the Prime Minister pretending that he's still running against Scott Morrison, that he's running against the guy who hasn't signed Net Zero 2050, that isn't going to Glasgow, all of this crap. And I just wish Albo would work out that he's got an opportunity to lead a conversation, but if he wants to just keep fighting the 2022 election, he's going to get a kick in the bum at some time.
Sure, but what's Peter Dutton's policy? What's the number? OK, so we're pulling
34 was their one at the last federal election.
But he hasn't said that.
But what does it,
but he
what
hasn't
does it
said that.
matter? But honestly, what does it matter?
Sure.
If you agree on the destination, what's the point of the journey?
What does it matter what the number is? Let's be honest with the Australian people. 82% renewables by 2030 are never going to happen, and the costs are continuing to increase. What the number is we're still committed to net zero in 2050.
It matters because of what you said at the very start of this, which was Peter Dutton's honest. Peter Dutton wants to have a credible conversation. Now, that may well be the case, but honesty to me says he's got to go to the Australian people and say,
But it's an
here's my
arbitrary
plan.
number.
But can you go to an election without
sorry.
Every number.
Albo had to have a number.
There's no
I'm sorry.
science behind
I'm sorry. It's a
42%.
policy setting that then informs a whole range of different investment decisions all the way down the line.
And we
so
would
if you're,
lift the moratorium on nuclear, there'd be a whole lot of investment opportunity.
Okay, well, let's talk about nuclear. Why won't he say, here's the policy, here's where it's going to go, here's how much it's going to cost? If he were to say, yes, here's $20 billion and we've allocated that in the forward estimates and it's going to go in these two
you're
electorates.
A creature of politics. You don't come out. You know,
It's not all on one
an
day.
election yet. You don't come out with your suite of policies halfway through a term, or
You and I both know that he is not going to come out this side of the election and say that.
Absolutely
And
he will.
that's what looks disingenuous.
Absolutely, he will. I don't think he's hiding that he's interested in nuclear.
Let me in.